The F-35 program total lifetime cost is projected to hit $1.7 trillion for one jet program. The entire GDP of Australia is about $1.7 trillion. We are spending the economic output of an entire continent on one airplane. And right next to this jet, there are 187 F-22s sitting in hangars. The aircraft that most air combat experts will tell you is the most dominant air superiority fighter ever built at a fraction of the lifetime cost, and quietly shelved. So here's the question I could not stop asking. Why did America walk away from the better jet to build the more expensive one? I want to start by making sure you understand what was on the table here, because I think most people, even people who follow defense closely, underestimate the F-22. It carries 6 air-to-air missiles internally. The F-35 carries 2. The F-22 can control more than twice the battle space of an F-35. These are not close competitors. These are different animals. So when the Pentagon started talking about choosing between them, I kept asking, choosing between what exactly? One was a thoroughbred, the other was a Swiss Army knife. In 2009, Defense Secretary Robert Gates looked at the F-22 program and killed it. The official reason? The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And look, I am not going to pretend that was not a factor. America was fighting insurgents in pickup trucks. They did not have an air force. Sending a $150 million stealth jet to escort a convoy in Kandahar is genuinely absurd. But here's what I found when I kept pulling at this thread. The F-22 had a rule baked into its program from the start. It could not be exported. Not to allies, not to anyone. It was U.S. Air Force only. That single restriction changed everything. Because the F-35, the jet that replaced it, was designed to be sold internationally from day one. Multiple variants, multiple customers, a coalition of allied nations all buying in, all sharing development costs. The F-22 had no export market, and the F-35 had 12 partner countries before it even reached initial operating capability. I kept asking myself, was the export restriction a consequence of how they built the F-22, or was the inability to export it the reason they stopped building it? Here is what I actually think is going on, and I want to be clear, this is my read, not an established fact. The F-35 program is not primarily a military program. It is an economic infrastructure program that also happens to produce a fighter jet. Lockheed Martin's own website says the F-35 brings over $79 billion into the American economy every year. It employs people in 46 states. Think about what that means politically. You cannot kill a program that has a jobs impact in 46 states. Every senator, every congressman has a factory or a supplier or a subcontractor in their district tied to this jet. The F-22, by contrast, built in Marietta, Georgia, one main production site, no foreign partners, no international sales, no political coalition to protect it. Now, to be fair, I could be wrong about the framing here. Maybe the Pentagon genuinely believed the F-35's multi-role flexibility was worth the trade-off in raw air superiority performance. Maybe the export partnerships genuinely reduced per-unit costs in a way that made strategic sense. Those are real arguments. But here is what I cannot get past. When you look at the F-22's unit cost, $142 million per aircraft at the low production rate they were running, part of why it got so expensive is because they stopped ordering it. The Air Force originally wanted 750. They got 187. When you drop an order from 750 to 187, the fixed costs, the tooling, the engineering, the overhead, get spread across fewer aircraft. Each one gets more expensive. Then the jet gets more expensive, so they order fewer, which makes it more expensive again. It is a doom loop, and I am not sure anyone in charge was steering away from it. So where does this leave us in 2026? The F-35 has serious problems that the program's advocates have never fully answered. Its cost per flight hour runs around $44,000. That is not a number from critics. That is from the program's own data. A brand new mid-size car. Every single hour of flight. The Pentagon reduced F-35 orders by 45% for fiscal year 2026. That is not a confident program. That is a program with a readiness and cost problem serious enough that even its own buyer is pulling back. And the F-22? There are now over 30 F-22s the Air Force wants to retire. Not because they are worn out, but because early production models are too expensive to upgrade and Congress will not let them. The most dominant air superiority fighter ever built, and we made 187 of them. And now we are arguing about parking them permanently. Meanwhile, China has been building the J-20 and J-35. Russia has the Su-57. The threat environment the F-22 was literally designed for, peer adversary air combat, is no longer a hypothetical. After spending weeks going through program documents, budget reports, and capability comparisons on this, here is what I walked away believing. The F-22 was not killed because it was the wrong jet. It was killed because it was the wrong business model. The uncomfortable truth is that the most important quality in a modern American weapons program is not lethality. It is not stealth. It is not supercruise or kill ratios or anything you would find in a defense catalog. It is contractual surface area. How many states does it touch? How many allied governments are signed on? How many subcontractors have a seat at the table? The F-35 won that fight before the first prototype ever flew. And once you understand that, the choice between the F-22 and the F-35 starts to look less like a strategic decision and more like an inevitability. What nobody wants to admit is that America's most expensive weapons program might not be optimized to win the next war. It might be optimized to survive the next budget cycle. And I am not saying that to be cynical. I am saying it because the evidence points there, and I think you deserve someone to say it plainly. The F-22 was the better fighter. The F-35 was the better program. And in Washington, that is the only competition that matters. We asked for 750 of the best fighter jet ever built. We got 187. Then we moved on. Make of that what you will. That is the Maury Report.